Hi there, I'm the Mythkeeper. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my third video on the religion and gods of the world of Pathfinder. The first two videos in this series covered what I called the gods of the world and then the gods of culture, and this week I'm doing 6 gods. So the gods of magic and the gods of the people. The gods that I'm going to be covering today are Pharasma, Calistria, Irori, and then Desna, Sarenrae, and Nethys. Yes, that's all of them. I think it's going to be a really fun video. Enjoy. Irori, the Master of Masters, is a god of history, knowledge, and self-perfection. His symbol is an outwards-facing palm. Because of Irori's perfect nature, his followers tend not to depict him in art, believing that any depiction of the Master of Masters would pale in comparison to his actual appearance. Instead, they use song and poetry to praise the indescribable flawlessness of their god. They describe him as a Vudrani man, clad in simple robes and wooden shoes. Long hair, worn in a simple braid, sprouts from his otherwise bald head, the braid often wrapped around his neck as a necklace. Irori exemplifies the concepts of self-perfection. His dogma states that he was a mortal once, who gained godhood through achieving a physical and mental state that surpassed mortal limitations. His followers seek to emulate their god's divine state by perfecting themselves, and they use the words of the Unbinding Fetters, Irori's sacred text. The illuminated pages of the tome detail numerous physical, spiritual, and mental exercises, as well as methods of learning and remembering. In addition to self-perfection, Irori is the god of history and knowledge, perfectly knowing the universe around him. He encourages his followers to follow suit and learn all they can about the world and what lies beyond. Even though Irori perfected himself, he is also a patient and kind teacher. He and his clergy allow each student to learn in a way that fits them by offering a multitude of practices and methods. As the Master of Masters, Irori teaches that a person is composed of a unified body, mind, and spirit. When one masters all 3 aspects of themselves, they see the triune self. To most mortals, the body and mind are more easily known than the spirit, so study begins there. Success gained from mastering the body and mind is then used to penetrate the secrets of the spirit and attain enlightenment. The search for perfection leads many followers to the priesthood. Such priests wander as solitary monks or dwell in secluded monasteries in endless practice. Many of these monasteries are sprawling complexes closed to the general public. The faithful pray, sleep, exercise, and study in their seemingly endless quest for perfection and purity, often taking vows of poverty or silence. Other temple complexes provide guidance and training to visitors in exchange for tithes and donations. Some of Irori's worshippers instead wander alone, strengthening their connection to Irori by giving up the distraction of material goods and living in caves, forests, and even graveyards. These ascetics may go naked or wear rags, and locals often believe them to have mystic abilities. Despite their appearance, these worshippers are well respected among Irorian faithful. It is said that enlightened members of Irori's clergy are so self-aware they know when the hour of their death approaches. In preparation for this moment, some faithful ingest a diet of poisonous teas and nuts to perform self-mummification. This ritual allows them to watch over their monasteries after death and come to the aid of the faithful if necessary. Others, particularly those considered the most devout, seemingly disappear from the mortal world altogether. These supposedly hand-picked individuals are said to walk with the Master, becoming divine servants of Irori. In addition to a priest's search for self-perfection, the clergy of Irori still live and participate in the worldly cycles. Monk priests often act as historians and chroniclers for a region, and the libraries of Iroran monasteries house ancient and occult knowledge, making them popular among bards and sages. Elder clergy take this role to heart, gathering and storing knowledge for the sake of knowledge itself. Irori espouses that all knowledge is worth knowing and cares not for how it is used, except when it would create a loss of self-control. This seeming indifference to good or evil can put Irori's faith at odds with more dogmatic churches. When ministering to layfolk, priests of Irori act as guides and shepherds, nudging worshippers to improve themselves. Some worshippers focus on Irori's teachings in regards to mastery of the body and become great unarmed warriors and gladiators. Many of his followers are historians, and they study the history of the world or focus on a given kingdom or region. Still, others study medicine, philosophy, or some other focused discipline. Regardless of their focus area, all followers of Irori are constantly studying and learning to better themselves. Calistria, the savored sting, is a goddess of charm and lust, but also of revenge. Her symbol is 3 daggers. Calistria was originally an elven goddess, and knowledge of her was brought by the elves to Golarion when they arrived through the first Ayudara, or Elvish waygates. Though she is one of several elven deities, Calistria is by far the best known outside of elven communities, and thus many non-elves view her as the representative elven goddess. This conclusion is not entirely unreasonable, as Calistria represents those aspects of the elven ancestry that many other people see alluring, intriguing, or fascinating. Among elves, she embodies characteristics endemic to elven culture and identity, such as free-spirited pursuit of one's own path, and further embodies a truth lost on shorter-lived peoples. The flexibility and capriciousness of Calistria provides a model for maintaining perspective and composure over a centuries-long lifespan. She is well known as a goddess of lust, pleasure, and desire, and this explains much of her allure to non-elves. Indeed, of the elven deities, she receives by far the most worship from non-elves. That aspect of lust and desire, though, stem from Calistria's belief in personal freedom, and freedom works both ways. So although she is a lusty goddess, she believes lust should be reciprocal, and she always demands enthusiastic consent in sexual encounters. Any situation in which lust is sated without mutual consent gives rise to her other aspect, that of the vengeful wasp. Silver-tongued and charming, Calistria is a master of weaving insults into compliments and laying intricate groundwork for retribution at its finest. Though Calistria is fickle, shifting her loyalties and interests as her whims take her, she never forgets a slight, and any who think she is forgiven will surely find it is only a matter of time before they are targeted by a long-term plot of revenge to lay them thoroughly low. As the goddess's whims are ever-shifting, her worshippers are also often somewhat transient. Even among elves, worship of Calistria is usually intermittent, sometimes a secondary faith to another deity. As followers' lives lead them in different directions, they move on to other interests, just as the goddess herself moves from one lover to the next. As stated, personal freedom is a value held dear by the goddess and her followers alike. Therefore, some of Calistria's most devoted followers work to promote this tenet, quietly working to undermine tyrannical governments, exacting revenge upon slavers and freeing their captives, or simply demonstrating the benefits of a freedom-driven lifestyle. For this reason, worship of Calistria is outlawed in Cheliax. Wasps are iconic to Calistria, as widely recognized as a symbol of the faith as her formal religious symbol. Like the goddess, a wasp inflicts extreme pain and retribution for an offense, far beyond what it seems a simple insect ought to be capable of. Further cementing the similarity is the fact that the wasp seems to take a perverse pleasure in its attacks, pursuing offenders and stinging repeatedly. Many followers of Calistria carry yellow and black tokens on their person as a form of homage. Though rumor would suggest all her temples are brothels, many of these gathering spaces are more akin to intellectual salons, albeit more encouraging and supportive of sexual interaction between attendees than most equivalent secular institutions. Calistrian temples also often maintain wasp colonies, under the eaves or in similarly sheltered spots. Calistrian wasps, like bees, can be cultivated for their sweet honey, and Calistrian priests often make use of the honey for all sorts of ceremonial purposes, including for sweetening of tea or for scenting unguents used as massage oils. Priests are even known to raise giant wasps as allies and pets. These wasps ignore worshippers, but descend in force upon any interlopers with ill intent. Clerics of the goddess endeavor to hold the three aspects of their goddess in balance, as a lifetime in service to anyone can easily become monotonous, and Calistria advises her followers not to become overly consumed with a single pursuit. Paladins of Calistria, where they crop up, are sometimes more focused, such as those who dedicate themselves to fighting slavery, but even these are careful to avoid becoming so wrapped up in their work that they lose sight of the other aspects of life that make it worth living. Special rituals, conducted as needed, include invocations of the goddess's blessing when a worshipper begins pursuit of a desired lover, divinations to determine her approval or disapproval of set courses of revenge, initiation rites for those who wish to devote themselves to the faith, and birth and death ceremonies. Not surprisingly, compared to other faiths, Calistria places little stock in marriage, and she always encourages more open kinds of relationships. Pharasma. Pharasma, the Lady of Graves, is a goddess of birth, death, and fate. Her symbol is a silver and blue spiraling comet, which signifies the bright and winding path of every soul's potential. No record of history, and not even other gods, can recall a time before Pharasma. Her throne lies within a vast Gothic cathedral, located on the infinite spire at the center of the plains. From here, she looks both forward and backward in time, observing the births, lives, and deaths of every soul, as she serves as the final arbiter of a soul's destination after death. Special servants called psychopomps guide and safeguard new spirits along the river of souls into her realm. Here she judges each soul and ensures it is sent to its proper plane for its afterlife, according to its alignment and mortal deeds. Although she can see all possible fates and knows the fate of each individual, free will and choice can alter a soul's final destination, and she places great weight on the individual's actions and personal choices. Therefore, Pharasma withholds her final judgment until a soul actually stands before her. Her prophecies are cryptic, and their full meanings are rarely revealed until the foretold events occur. Once Pharasma has judged a soul, it can no longer be returned from the dead by mortal magics. While it may be within Pharasma's power to do so, she has never withheld a soul from its proper destination, not even from the realms of the gods she may despise. She embraces her role with a dispassionate dignity that often makes her seem aloof or uncaring, but in truth she simply understands the necessity of impartiality to sustain the cycle of life and balance throughout the planes. Almost all other deities show Pharasma great deference, for she is the only one they trust to unfailingly distribute souls to their proper destination. Pharasma abhors the creation of undead, and magic that traps souls, anything that prevents them from arriving in a realm for judgment and disrupting the balance of the cycle of souls. She commands her followers to destroy all such abominations, and to release any bound souls. Pharasma is usually portrayed as a tall, ash-skinned woman with white eyes and wild flowing white hair, cloaked in dark robes, and holding an hourglass filled with red sand. Many dread her as a grim reaper, ready to take their souls and to end their mortal existence. Yet many also worship her as the guardian of birth and new souls, a wise scholar and a healer. These worshippers call her the Mother of Souls, a title reflecting her protective and guiding nature. While her faithful most often wear black clothing trimmed in purple or silver during rituals, they are also fond of wearing brilliant shades of silver, blue, and purple. Midwives and physicians carry silver religious symbols of Pharasma on long chains. Scholars and oracles embroider Pharasma's spiral or an hourglass to represent their belief in fate, prophecy, or observation of time. Those devout to Pharasma are generally circumspect when it comes to taking sides in politics. Priests of Pharasma can frequently be found tending to the dead and providing healing on rival sides of battles with equal efficiency. Places of worship dedicated to Pharasma range from the simplistic to the ostentatious. Mausoleums and crypts usually contain at least a token idol or shrine dedicated to Pharasma. Pharasma's temples are towering Gothic cathedrals, decorated with stained glass and carved statuary. These temples typically have universities, hospitals, and immense libraries attached above the ground, and vast, deep catacombs intricately decorated with the bones of the deceased below. Wealthy patrons and scholars pay membership fees to access the knowledge and wisdom within her temples. Since being interred within the catacombs of Pharasma is deemed a blessing, they also contribute sizable donations to secure prominent locations for their bodies' later interment in the crypts, often as an attempt to gain favor during Pharasma's judgment of their soul in the afterlife. It is not uncommon for entire libraries or estates to be donated to the Church of Pharasma from the deathbeds of the rich and powerful concerned with how their mortal deeds will reflect upon their immortal soul. Sarenrae. Sarenrae, the dawn flower, is a goddess of healing, honesty, redemption, and the sun. Her symbol is an angel with raised wings and outspread arms. Sarenrae is one of the most popular deities on Golarion, by virtue of her association with the life-giving sun, and her perpetual offer to help anyone be their best, even when they have made mistakes. Most people thank her for her kind work to channel the sun's power for everyone's safety and livelihood, and thank her clergy for granting her healing power to all who need it. Mortals look to the dawn flower as an example of boundless love, exquisite kindness, and true patience. They pray to her to heal the sick, lift up the downtrodden, and illuminate the darkness of circumstance as well as the darkness of spirit. Her followers aspire to emulate her through generosity, nurturing, truthfulness, and selfless courage. They oppose evil everywhere with words first, and when necessary, with scimitar and flame. Sarenrae is also much revealed as a symbol of renewed hope, having selflessly led the charge against Rovagug to save Golarion from utter destruction in the mythic past. It is she who cast Rovagug into his terrible tomb within the world, and set the fire of the sun within his prison to weaken the rough beast and prevent his escape. She has the aspect of an angel, having originated as one of the mightiest angels before she established herself as a true deity. and she resumes this aspect of a burning avenger when she encounters evil too entrenched for even her to redeem it. Sarenrae's holy text is the birth of light and truth. It records her struggles as an angel before mortal history began, and also offers guidance on resisting evils of convenience, standing against cruelty in the world, and teaching and redeeming an evil soul. Preachers often publicly cite the text in passionate sermons when condemning cruelty and corruption, giving the faithful a reputation as fiery zealots. In places like Qadira, this puts many of her followers in conflict with those in power who allow or even support evils, like slavery. In recent times, she has stripped her blessings from those among the faith who have condoned such evils. Though after the Dawnflower's temper has cooled, she has publicly offered redemption to disgraced faithful who are willing to repent. The Church of Sarenrae is devoted to healing all ills, nourishing body and spirit, and correcting evils. It is a flexible, quasi-familial organization that calls its members to go where they are needed. Most people recognize Sarenrae's bright soaring temples, which allow services to be performed in direct sunlight. The largest tend to incorporate Calishite architecture, as in many areas, Sarenrae's faith was spread with the Calishite Empire. Sarenite services are traditionally joyous, with singing and dancing. Milestones in family building and personal growth are especially celebrated, including adoption, marriage, coming of age, and recognizing a former evildoer has rehabilitated. Clergy are called to do many kinds of good in the world. They feed the hungry, tend the ill, heal the injured, and guide the lost. Many are trained as diplomats and advisors in the hope of maintaining peace and ensuring that governments are just and merciful. They also counsel those with torn spirits, mediate disputes, and rehabilitate those who have wronged others. Although most day-to-day work of the Church is peaceful, its members practice swordplay and magic both as a form of meditative art and as preparation to strike down irredeemable evil with merciful speed. Those who have done great wrongs but feel regret sometimes join Sarenrae's church, because the goddess offers a chance at redemption even to people who have committed terrible evils. The Candlemark holiday is particularly important to Sarenrae. The reflective and intimate holiday on the winter solstice, celebrating the personal reasons that each individual follower joined the church, has special significance to these followers, as well as new practitioners and those in trying times. Desna, the Song of Spheres, is a goddess of dream, luck, stars, and travel. Her symbol is a butterfly with various celestial objects printed on the wings, stars, the sun, and a crescent moon. It is said, the night didn't know beauty until Desna came into existence. While other gods toiled away to create the world, she set her sights on the heavens, placing each star in the sky. After surveying her artistry, she hung the brightest star high in the north and made it her home. Her first gift to mortals was this beacon of hope, a twinkling sign in the dark sky that they could turn to her when lost or unsure of themselves. Desna provides safe passage through the darkness to all, should they choose to follow. Desna journeys without end, for the wonders of the universe are endless. She relies on instinct to guide her, paying no mind to planning or destination. To some, her lapsing attention may come off as uncaring or cold, but Desna simply prefers an untethered, carefree existence. Her confidence in herself and her followers frees her from the indulgence of worry. She knows fate can always be rewritten, and encourages others to embrace all that life has to offer. Desna wants her followers to take chances, get messy, and live life to the fullest. Those who follow her teachings she rewards with a spot of luck, revealing unseen shortcuts, dangers to be circumvented, and undiscovered wonders. Desna is an ancient being, born during the dawn of time, but her sense of wonder has never faded. Even so, she is no stranger to hardship, understanding that fate can be cruel and love can be lost. This only strengthens her resolve. She believes in good luck, and that people can make their own fortune in life. To Desna, no one is ever truly lost. They need only find their way back to the path. She revels in mystery, being herself somewhat of an enigma, but she can always be found on the side of hope. Light always pierces the darkness, and all nightmares eventually give way to dreams. The goddess loves music and live performances. Legends say Desna played the world's first song by ringing the stars to celebrate the god's completion of the material world. Her faithful have embraced her love of music and the arts, and are often performers themselves, with many modern songs and dances having their roots in Desnan worship. Artists who devote themselves to Desna have created some of the most famous poems and ballads in Galarian, and often perform these in conjunction with bards of Shaylin. A sizable portion of Desna's priesthoods are bards as well, spreading her songs across the world on their travels. When making a rare appearance to mortals, Desna appears as a beautiful woman with long dark hair and shining stars in her eyes. Brilliant, colorful patterns of pink, purple, and blues trail behind her like a comet's tail as her majestic butterfly wings fly her through the cosmos. If she wishes to make her desires known, she imparts wondrous dreams to her followers, allowing them the rare opportunity to dance among the stars with her. There is little sense of authority within the Desna Church, though on Golarion it is a faith that dates as far back as ancient Aslant. The Church lacks any sort of hierarchy, and priests are valued by the tales of the journeys they've undertaken and the experiences they've had, rather than for any seniority. A typical Desna service is performed almost entirely in song, with interludes of dance, storytelling, and dream recollection interspersed throughout. Most centers of worship for Desna are not ornate temples, but instead small, unattended shrines. These shrines are most commonly found at crossroads, remote areas of beauty, or the tops of hills where the stars can be viewed unimpeded. Traveling Desna priests clean and maintain these shrines as they encounter them, leaving their signatures behind as a way of marking their journey. Nethys the All-Seeing is a god of arcana and magic. His symbol is the mask of black and white. To some, magic is a powerful weapon. To others, it's a malleable tool. And to a few, it's a source of purpose. With an understanding of spellcasting, creatures can cause fire to erupt from their hands, call otherworldly beings to aid them, bewitch the senses, and even bring the dead back to life. The ability to reshape reality in order to better suit one's needs is a powerful call that most only dream of being able to answer, and few are ever able to truly master. One such master was Nethys, once revered as a god-king in ancient Assyrian. Having sought to unlock all of the secrets and potential held within the planes and beyond, Nethys shattered his own mind from the sheer overload of knowledge to which he was exposed. Witnessing all of creation, the secrets of the universe, and the vast expanse of what has been and will be, rent his mind in the same moment it elevated him to the status of God. Nethys gained unlimited power and the skill to use it, but at the cost of his core self and mental security. This resulted in a split soul, two sides warring within the same body. One seeks to conquer and to burn, the other attempts to protect and to elevate. Those who encountered Nethys typically describe him as unpredictable. His shifts in moods and outlook, which occur without reason, often make interactions with him strained. Yet despite the difficulties, he teaches those who seek him out, regardless of their intent. So long as they strive to use magic, to explore its limitless potential, they can earn Nethys' patronage. From the vilest curses to the purest remedies, magic and its continued use seem to be the only drive Nethys maintains. This is often reflected in his followers, who may seek to uncover all they can about the arcane by crafting new uses for existing spells, or to simplify mundane tasks through magical means. Using magic, whenever possible, is an often practiced tenet of Nethys' followers. Some of the more zealous followers take it to the fullest extent, opting to use magic for doing all their household tasks at once, using only magic sources of light, or constantly providing themselves with a light breeze. Nethys' worshippers seek to gain greater knowledge and expand upon their powers. While the majority of his faithful welcome those who seek to learn and understand magic, a fair portion actively shun those without the talent or patience for it. Many followers push for others to learn, often withholding the full answers to questions and offering just enough information to lead others on to seek out the answers themselves and learn from their own pursuits. Some instead guard their knowledge jealously, hoping to ensure their own understanding far outpaces that of others. It is common for the followers of Nethys to come off as aloof or indifferent, perhaps even mirroring the god of magic by attempting to balance the world around them. Most refrain from politics, instead choosing to take an impartial viewpoint that does not require hard stances. That neutral stance of worshippers of Nethys makes them perfect advisors for rulers dealing with magic-related issues. Standalone temples constructed solely for the worship of Nethys are rare, though they do exist. Instead, many double as libraries and studies, and pre-existing libraries and colleges often hold shrines to Nethys. Most of these temples are grandiose edifices whose imposing nature suggests architecture only capable with the aid of magic. In fact, many of the caretakers of such sites take pride in the unique spells required in the creation of the more elaborate temples of Nethys. In more remote locations, you might find smaller shrines to Nethys, often containing small traveling libraries, along with various scraps of research that might spur those who stop and partake to pursue new knowledge, though such shrines are rare. These shrines and their libraries are constructed by followers who actively roam the lands in search of new secrets. Priests of Nethys commonly wear contrasting colors, often one light and one dark, or take to painting or tattooing one half of their body to better represent the duality of the god of magic. And that's it. We've covered all the gods that I consider the celestial pantheon. Of course, that is my own system. That is not Pathfinder canon. If it's useful to you, use it. If it's not, you can discard it. But there are yet more gods that we'll be covering in some upcoming videos. There's a neutral pantheon, 12 gods that are more neutral, more kind of demigods, lesser gods. We'll go into all those, and we'll start with some of the more popular ones next week. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next week.